the Producers Village. Welcome back to the live stream, and we're going to talk about some mixed fundamentals here. Shout out to all the fans. So let's get right into the show here. So here I have Studio One here, and I'm gonna go into my mix window here, and let me bring down the volume just a little bit. Now, when you're mixing, it's a very important fundamental key to know that your equalizer is the tool. Your equalizer is the Swiss Army knife. That is your secret weapon, guys. So, and girls. So if you want to mix fat, if you want to mix professional, you have to know your frequency spectrum. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about frequencies starting from the bottom, 60 kilohertz, 90, 100, all the way up to the stuff that give you the high end. We don't, as professional producers and mixing engineers, we don't just boost the knobs and go high for the hell of it. You have to understand there's certain feeling in the frequency spectrum. There's certain things. And how do you know where to boost? You might say, well, how do you know which EQ to use and where to boost these frequencies? I'm going to listen to the raw sound of this instrument here. I'm gonna turn off the equalizer. This is Studio 1.5, by the way. Here we go. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn down the gain here a little bit. Let's turn down the, okay, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to turn on the EQ now. It's very important to look at these faders here. As you can see, I'm spiking a little bit in the red. I'm going to try and combat that by adjusting the input. So I'm going to go down to my input controls here. So Studio 1.5 is going to reveal the input knobs. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Bring up back the EQ. Okay, we're having a decent signal here now. Now, why am I turning down the input for these sounds? Just one moment here. Let me go ahead and make some adjustments here to this auto save feature, because every now and then it's kind of bugging me. Let's see here. Enable auto save. I'm gonna turn that off since we're live streaming. You don't want the sound to be clipping red. Why? It might not sound bad, but if all your tracks are going into that red zone, then you run the risk of coloring your entire mix and have it distorted. So that's a good practice. Now, there are no rules, yes, in mixing, but there are some guidelines. Sometimes I mix certain instruments into the red to get a kind of good grit. So I'm going to take up the fader a little bit up here. Now let's mix this. For the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to mix this soca track here with the instruments by themselves. I'm going to roll off the low end. That's too much. What you want to do, you want to roll off just when you hear the bottom information's going away. So right about 105 is doing good for me, because the reason why I'm rolling off is because I want to make room for the bass. And you might say, Ray, how do you find the sweet spot, the magic frequency in each of these instruments? Well, if you want to cut, you adjust your Q. So if I boost this, I'm going to look for some resonance. There's one right there. Bring it down a little bit. If I want to find the nice stuff, I'm going to wind the Q. So that sound about nice right there, about 9K. 9K sounded pretty nice. I'm going to boost and move around. It sound a little bit harsh. I don't like that. I don't like that frequency. Let me turn on the mid EQ here. Bring down some of this here. So I'm going to bypass the EQ now. The EQ off. Notice the sound went back to that full muffled sound. If I turn on the EQ, it sounds a little more brighter, a little more snappy. We don't have too much bottom end. And generally, guys, when you're starting to start a mix, what I do is I go on my mixer board here, and I'm using the R reverb, the R reverb, and I'm rolling off a little bit of bottom end here on the EQ. If you want, you can add an EQ after reverb. I'm setting the time here. So I want to create some space and atmosphere with this sound. So I'm gonna turn on the send, and I'm gonna send the sound to the reverb. Here we go. Here we go. You want to send it just where you can hear that reverb. If I go too much, that would be like the most I would add to it. And you can adjust the pre-delay on the reverb. So when the signal comes through the reverb, the reverb holds it and release it. So it's a delay. So that way the instruments can go in the reverb, and before the reverb comes back, it has a delay. It's called pre-delay. If we increase the time, that's going to give us a big reverb. Let's mess around with that control there. I'm going to increase the time. Listen to that big dome. You want to start off about 4 seconds, guys. 3 the most. Hear how it fades. If I take up the diffusion, that's gonna kind of clear things up a bit. But I'm gonna back down to about 2. I'm gonna put it into taste. Notice with the reverb on, I'm getting a nice ambient sound. Now I'm going to bring in the kick drum. Now I have the kick drum coming out of the drum sub here, and I'm going to show you a trick, spiral compression trick. I'm using Waves 11, by the way. I'm going to be using the PukeTech and the R comp. I'm going to be compressing. So what I do, I'm sending the entire drum kit. I have the kick, the snare, the hi-hats, the live drums, all be coming out of the main bus, which is this right here. And I created another bus called the drum comp, or the DR comp. So let's play the kick drum. Right now the kick sounds kind of a little bit weak. Now watch what happens when I bring in the compressed version. As you can see, the compressor's already working, but I'm going to open up the track here. Here we go. Now, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to isolate the drums. So here we go. This is the copy of the kick sending to the bus. If I turn it off, kick kind of weak, a little bit thin, not too bad. So I'm gonna turn on the parallel compression here. Now let's bypass the PukeTech and let's bypass the R comp. Now something is missing. I'm getting a louder kick. That's good. But if you want real definition, the modern sound, let's turn on the compressor. Now, the more you squash the signal, the more punchy the drums is going to sound. Let me increase the output so you can hear. Compressor off, doesn't sound as punchy. If you back off on the threshold, you get that normal a hard kick, but we want punchy sound. This is soca music. Now, you generally do about ratio 2 to 3 around. You can just squash it. It's okay. You're doing parallel compression. Now, the PukeTech, I'm at 30 kilohertz here. And if I turn this on just by the signal passing through the PukeTech, I'm going to get a nice bigger sound. Check this out. I'm going to unbypass. And if I want, I can boost a little bit more. Let's give me a bigger sound. The attenuation knob is going to clean up a little bit of what I'm boosting. So I'm going to add maybe about 4. And I'm going to bring in the rest of the drum kits here. Let's bring in the snare. So that's coming out of the drum bus, and that's also parallel compressing. Let's bring in the hi-hats. And if I turn off that track, it gets quiet. This is how the pro's been doing it for years, guys. Now I'm going to bring in the live drums here. Here we go. This is a tin sound, and I'm using the waves doubler to get a little bit of chorus on that. If I turn that off, let's exaggerate the singing. That's if I want to get things super wide. Let's bring in the live drums. Now check this out. I'm using the Pro Q, and what I'm doing here is adding a little bit of 80 to get a little bit more oomph from the live kick drum. So let me unbypass the EQ. Here we go. Getting a little bit more sound, and that's just about 1 dB there. Because we want to make it fat, we want to make sure everything's bubbling, everything's going how we want it to go. Let's bring in the bass. Did a couple of things on the bass here. Now I'm going to bring up 2 plugs, and I'm not proud compressing the bass or the guitars. Reason why is I can mix these in individually, nice. The drums, however, I need all the power and it can get, or whatever it will take, the main rhythm instruments here. Now I'm going to turn off both the Pro Q and the NLS. Listen to the bass. The bass kind of sounds weak. People might say, Ray, why don't you turn it up? That's not going to solve the problem or the issue with the bass. You want to make sure you're adding a little bit of saturation here. So by adding in the drive, I'm going to get more grit, more harmonic from the analog texture. Here we go. I'm going to turn it up. Bring it in with the drums. You might say, Ray, why did you turn all the way up? Because did you know, if you want to get the true color of some of these plugs, analog, get that needle close to the red. It's just about on top. Now, a couple of things I don't like about the bass. I don't want too much of that top end. Yeah, remember, this is a bass. I don't want it to sound too old, rock and roll. So I'm going to turn on the EQ here. And I'm taking out about 2K down. Bandwidth off. I'm going to take that. And I'm taking out a little bit of top end as well. If I want, I can do this. It won't sound as interesting. So I'm gonna put it about there. And to make room for the bass, rolling off a little bit of 30. Bringing back the drum. Let's bring that tin sound down a little bit. I'm going to send it through the reverb here. Just so it steps back. I'm going to make adjustment to reverb here. I'm going to take off some of the highs. Right about here is good. I'm going to bring in the guitars. Now the main thing I'm doing with these guitars here, I wanted to create two things: vibe and a little bit of rhythm here. I'm turning off the sends. Listen to the guitar by itself. Nice guitar, but I need a little bit of movement, so I send it to the H delay. I'm going to turn that on. Hear those ping pong returns left, right. And I'm going to widen it with a little bit of doubler. I'm going to send through that. Listen to it. I'm going to exaggerate the signal. It really makes it wider. Combine that with the lead so I can control how present the sound is by adjusting the send to doubler. Let's do that while the rhythm is playing. Right about here. Bring the bass down a little bit. And there you have it, folks. You're getting your mix into the ballpark right there. So I'm gonna stop there, guys. Remember, you can hit me up on Pristine Production. This has been a live stream from home, live stream at Producers Village, and I hope you take something from this. Remember to hit me up if you want me to mix and master for you. You can check out my website, link in the description, and you can make purchases of my rhythms if you want me to mix and master your pop, reggae, dancehall, soca. Want me to build a soca rhythm for you? Hit me up, guys. So thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. I do apologize for the setbacks, but I'll catch you guys on the